I don't have nearly enough caffeine in my system to deal with this one. I have sat on this video now for a couple of days, wondering if I even wanted to respond. But you've FA'd, kiddo. You have FA'd. And you're about to FO now. And Auntie Lauralee is fixing to learn you something. So you might want to strap in and sit down somewhere. I have lost count at the number of times I've watched this video. And each and every time, I just can't seem to get past that look of disdain and disgust as you're holding these flowers. These flowers that your husband loved you enough to purchase for you. These flowers that your husband may or may not have been able to have afforded, but you were at the front of his thoughts and wanted to get them from you. These flowers that may not have been the big bucks, no whammies types of flowers, but yet your husband saw them, thought of you and must have thought, I'll bet she'd like these. I'm going to get them for her. That's how much I love her. And the first thing that came to my mind was, how dare you? How dare you? Because there's an entire community on this app and outside of this app that wish they could have flowers be given to them again. When my late husband and I were first together, every payday he would buy me a single rose from the next door food store, which was our local gas station. It's a little hole-in-the-wall gas station in our hometown. And every payday, he would get me a single rose. Sometimes he'd let me pick it out, but most times he'd surprise me. That was just him. That was just his way. And we took shit for it. Yes, we did. Of epic proportions. Oh, flowers at my gas station. Well, you're going back 31 years. When the minimum wage was, at that time, $6.50 an hour. He and I were both working minimum wage jobs. I was making $6.50 an hour. He was making $6.75 third shift. And I couldn't tell you what those roses cost a piece. I really couldn't. I never asked, and I never looked. But it was a sacrifice on his part. It was a sacrifice on his part because when he looked at those roses, he thought of me. And he wanted me to have an expression of his feelings for me, his love for me, so forth and so on. And in between the gas station roses, he'd surprise me with cards. I'm pretty sure I still have some, if not all of them. They're tucked away in my worldly treasures somewhere. He's been gone 4 years as of October 6th. The gas station roses quit coming because that little hole-in-the-wall gas station was eventually torn down and rebuilt. And these roses were no longer sold at the counter. But he expressed his feelings and his love in other ways. My gosh, if you were that horrified by the flowers, no doubt you'd be rolling your eyes at the dates that he and I would go on. Because this is what our dates would consist of. Gassing up the car, going into the gas station, stacking up on snacks like a pair of unsupervised 11-year-olds. Get in the car and drive. Those were our dates. Nothing fancy, nothing schmancy. Just time well spent. You know, it would serve you well. It would serve you well to sit with women and men who have lost their partners, who have lost their spouses, their significant others, their persons. Have a conversation, listen, learn. Because when you do that, the conversations are different. They ring different. The attitudes are different. The environment is different. The vibe is different. Because when you've come to learn what loss is, when you really taste and experience loss, you love with a love that is beyond anything anybody can imagine. And the reason you do that is because you know that in any given moment, all of this around us could be gone. We are finite human beings. We're living on borrowed time and we're walking in rented shoes. And we are a here today, gone tomorrow type of proposition. And you learn what not to take for granted anymore, including cheap-ass flowers. My late husband used to have a cluster mess of papers and notebooks and random miscellaneous stuff near where he would sit on the couch. And I would curse it every other day, if not every day, because if I wasn't tripping over it, I was stepping on it. Now, mind you, he could always find what he was looking for. He could find what I was looking for in that heap. I couldn't. And then after he was gone, I left it for a good 3-4 weeks because I just couldn't bring myself to touch it. And then I finally did. And I have days when I wish I could trip over it again and still curse it. Be grateful for those flowers. Be grateful that you have somebody still who loved you enough and thought of you enough to give you that piece of himself. Be thankful. Be thankful that he is here to give those things to you. And stop counting the dollar cost. Just stop with that. Because I can promise you when he's not here anymore, you're going to miss those flowers. And you are going to regret. You are going to regret feeling and looking as you did. And I certainly hope and pray he never ever comes across this video and sees that look. Because what would that do to him? You got a lot to learn, Daisy Mae. You got a lot to learn. And I hope you learn it now, while there's time. I'd give anything if I could have flowers like that again. You don't know how lucky you are, how blessed you are.